All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Zach Spalos. I work for the organization called GallantFew. On today's Leader Chat, we have Casey Lawrence. Casey, say hi, everybody.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
Definitely, man. Well, we love having you, and we love hanging out with you and whatnot. So today, we're just going to kind of go over what Casey does and a little bit of his story, whatnot. I know there are a few people out there who might know me. So, and that sounds a little conceited, doesn't it? People know me already. I think I'm jumping the gun there a little bit too much. I can only imagine what Carl and Bryce are saying right now.
Someone's popular.
Shout out. Today is Bryce Mahoney's birthday. So, Bryce, if you're watching this either now live or if you're going to watch it later on in a few days from now, whatever. So, happy birthday or happy belated birthday. So, everybody that's watching this, shoot him a comment on his Facebook and say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bryce.
He's a hell of a guy. He likes to climb and he likes to wear Ranger panties. So that should tell you enough about Bryce. But he's a great guy and he's somebody I look up to and he's taught me a lot. And he keeps me on track with work. But let's go to Casey. Casey, how's everything going, man?
Man, everything's great. Everything's going awesome. Can't complain. And it's exciting because there's a lot of changes that have transpired throughout the past couple months. That's just making things more exciting. And right now I'm very blessed. My family's doing good. My company's doing great. My guys are happy. They're working. So yeah, man, everything's going good.
Awesome. So let's get into more about Casey. So Casey, I personally know about you. I've been very fortunate at one point in time to work for you for a little while. I think maybe in 2017. I think that's when I first came across meeting you.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about your military background, because I know there's going to be some folks out there that are watching right now that are going to be curious. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was in the Army for 6 years, infantry, 2nd ID up in Fort Lewis, Washington. Deployed a few times, Iraq, Afghanistan. And the one thing that I tell everybody, the infantry, we already have a mentality about us, right? The grunt, whatever, ground pounders, wherever you want to call us, knuckle draggers. But the cool thing is, the reason I like the infantry so much is because it really does make you not just improvise, but it makes you do the best you can with what you have around you. And as you know, and a lot of other guys know, you won't have much around you to use, So it's one of those things where it really helped me in the future, because I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I grew up, when I was 24, let alone when I figured out I really liked, what I'm doing now. I went through an entire transformation period, very similar to a lot of other veterans that very harmful, very dark places. And for me, it was more of a isolation factor. I didn't move straight home after I got out. I actually got my CDL and started driving trucks in the oil field, North Dakota. Followed that money train, man. And everything was great. And then I decided I wanted to move back to Texas. So moved back to Texas. I ended up in South Texas. I didn't know anybody. Yeah. I was there with a girlfriend, and then we ended up breaking up, and she moved back to Washington, and then I was completely alone, right? Well, no one really prepares you what it's like to be alone in the bad times. They always prepare you what it's like to be alone when everything's going fine. Like, hey man, I'm a single bachelor and I have a great job and this, that, and the other. But what about when you're single and you're a bachelor, you don't have any job and you don't have any friends or money, and you're in a town that it's 7 hours away from home, right? So what happened is, my darkest of days kind of happened when it was a death anniversary for a buddy of ours that passed away. He got killed in Afghanistan, and it started off great. Started off with people doing video chats and taking shots and, hey man, brother, yeah, I love you, miss him. And then it escalated into later into the night until about midnight, 1 o'clock. And next thing you know, it's just rage and cops are called, and it just gets crazy out of hand. Well, my biggest thing was I was not in a good spot to even be having fun with alcohol or anything else that could, however you call it, alter my judgment. So that night, I actually ended up scaring one of my friends enough to where she called her friend, who was a dispatcher in the town that I was living in. Well, that dispatcher didn't know me, so she's like, "Hey, 50, we got a guy. He's a military vet, and he has guns, and he's drunk, and he's in a bad spot." Well, all they hear is vet with guns. He's drunk. Yeah. So they showed up, full force, SWAT team and sheriff's department at my RV that I was living in at the time. Now, I didn't know that they were called. All I knew is there was a bunch of flashing lights. So I was like, man, someone's getting in trouble. Yeah, that someone was me. So, I ended up having a standoff with SWAT and sheriff's department for about 3 hours until I got hauled off to jail. But the crazy part about it was I was looking for a way out. I mean, I'm a bigger dude, 6'2", 235, 240. I could be intimidating, especially when you're drunk. Yet I didn't get tased, I didn't get beat up, and I didn't get shot. But that's what I was going for, right? I mean, I was going for that. I didn't have the guts that I kept thinking I had or telling everybody I had to take my own life. Like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Like, hey, I'm done with this. F this life. Well, obviously, I wasn't prepared for that because I tried getting someone else to do it for me, and somehow I end up in jail and unharmed. Anyways, the next day, get it out. Whole life changed, man. I ended up talking to my parents and my sisters, and I realized that, man, it's not all about me, and it's about family. It's about those people that actually do care about you. Well, what's crazy is you fast forward to 2016, and I had an opportunity to start my own business with the help of my mom and my stepdad. And now, when we start off in her kitchen, just me, a truck, and a trailer. And to this day, now we have a couple warehouses, multiple crews working full time, ton of veterans coming in and out of here. Like, that's how I like to do things. I'm not trying to solve the problem of the vet. I'm trying to help them solve it. Like, hey, what's your goal? I'm probably not going to make you reach your goal or help you. I'm not going to get you there, but I'll help you get through the process.
The same thing with the infantry mindset, as far as like, you're not going to have somebody do the work for you, but you'll have somebody there to help you get the tools to get the job done. Now, whatever that might be in the veteran community, if you're calling for fire, if you're repelling some assault, all the way to the civilian side, when you're doing things like you're a business owner now, and now you're not only just helping yourself, and not only are you thriving on life, but you have the ability to choose to help somebody else out. Being a veteran, especially if that veteran is, hey, dude, I need help, and you're helping them out with a job and stuff like that. So, and other resources and plugging them up. I know you've had, I think, at least one veteran that works for you reach out to the GallantFew community and the GallantFew team, that we've been able to help him out and get him on board to do our functional emotional fitness training. So, but yeah, continue. Sorry, man. Want to interrupt there?
Oh no, you're good. That veteran also, he was your typical military vet that gets turned down by other companies and other businesses because of that first interaction, right? I mean, you look at this guy and he looks broken. He sounds broken. His story is compelling because for you and I, we can relate, and it's insane. We're like, holy shit, like, excuse my language, but we're like, wow, like I can relate with this guy. But in the everyday life, he gets turned down. They're like, oh, I don't want that guy here. Heck no, that's too much liability.
Yeah.
So I told him when I hired him, I said, I will hire you, but first, I want you to talk to my buddies over here at GallantFew, because I think no matter what, it's a good tool to use, and it's a great asset to have. And he did it. I mean, it took him a little time. I can't make him do things, but that's why I think GallantFew is very, very valuable in the veteran community, because you're going to have that guy come up to you who reminds you of your own story, and you're going to be like, wait a minute, okay, if I could rewind, what would have grabbed my attention then that I know now, right? And when you isolate yourself, there's not much you can really do about it. So you got to let people in,
I definitely think that's a huge thing, especially from you and I. I mean, we have, I don't want to say like it's a brand name compared to like store name or whatever, but it's the infantry mindset across the board, whether you're in the Marine Corps or you're in the Army infantry. You have that mindset of like, I got to do this on my own. I have to keep going. But at the same time, whenever a lot of veterans get out of the military, it's like you're losing. You lose. I don't want to say you lose the people that you're with, but at the same time, you're like you have life coming at you. And so
absolutely.
when I talk to some veterans about that, they're like, well, hey, I just gotta suck it up and keep going. I gotta just keep going. It's on me to do this stuff. I need to get it going and get it done. And I'm like, I totally get the mindset and I respect that. But at the same time, when you're in either a firefight in country, or if you're being attacked at 03 in the morning or anything along those lines, nothing you do in the military you do alone. I mean, the only thing you probably do alone is maybe go to the bathroom alone. And that's probably and we'll keep it at that. I think the military is doing pretty well at that right now. But that's just about the only thing you're doing alone. Everything else, if you're in a class, if you're going to some school, if you're doing some type of promotion, there is typically a collaborative effort being put together to help you accomplish whatever tasking you're set out. Promotion, whatever school, if you're going into a course, if you're trying to learn, to become a better, maybe working on land nav or something like that, and you need to be better. You link up with your squad leader, team leader, platoon sergeant, or platoon leader. I think is the way y'all call them in the Army. But you link up with people to get better, and that mindset should be basically covered across into the civilian mindset, because now you got a little bit of things coming at you. Yeah, maybe now you have to pay for rent, mortgage, medical bills, things that you didn't necessarily have to pay for in the military. Now you have to make sure that those are covered. So, veterans out there, watch this. I mean, if you're out there, I mean, obviously, it's people like Casey who are willing to help you out, especially with an organization like GallantFew. So, so let's do this. Let's tell me about J-Dog. I know you briefly touched on it just a few minutes ago, but tell me more about J-Dog and what y'all do, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So J-Dog is a full-service junk removal company. We are a franchise all across nationwide, and my main mission here at this, we're independently owned. So, but our main mission here at the J-Dog Northeast Tarrant County franchises are helping veterans, right, and creating a business to where it's not just about making a bunch of money. I mean, yeah, you got to make money, you're a business, but the biggest thing is having a good group of people, an elite team that can carry this company or this business's message into the future, right? And industry-wide in junk removal, a lot of people have bad experiences because, hey, man, I got a truck, I got a trailer, I can do that. But what don't you have? Well, I don't have structure. I don't have insurance. I don't have, efficiency. Well, I do. We do. And we took the harder approach to make sure that now we have more of a structured company that I can hire a veteran and he can get in here. And he can work his ass off, but at the same time, he's gonna learn how to teach again. I know it's kind of crazy, but when you get out of the military, you don't realize how much you actually learned from your leadership, whether they were horrible or not. You learn, and you go to an environment where you stop learning because now you can do whatever you want. How many times did you have downtime when you're at the company and they say, take out your books or take out this and start studying this or read this? Hey, go make a glass house and do clearing procedures. I mean, there was no time where you just BS on your phone, And I think a lot of us now understand, like, okay, I always heard this saying, I forgot where I heard it, but it was when I was in the military. I got in a fight in the barracks. MPs came. We ended up fighting the MPs, and it was a big ordeal. I got in a lot of trouble. It was fun. But I remember someone telling me, it was my first sergeant. I don't remember where he heard it, but he told me, he goes, boredom is the infantry's worst enemy, especially when you're at peacetime, like when you're back at, when you're stateside. And I was like, that's absolutely right, because when you're bored, that means you don't know what you're doing. You don't have any direction, and you don't have any structure. So what happens is you wander. And you start to entertain those dumb ideas. Hey, I wonder what this would be if we built this thing 3 stories high, and let's see how much we can really actually drink, Yeah.
Or something like, all right, we have 5 mattresses. Yeah. How high can we jump off of, the barracks until we get hurt? 3 stories, 4 stories. Let's keep it going. Let's push it, And then of course everybody's already drunk at that point. So I totally understand boredom. It can be definitely a pretty big foe.
Yeah, and when you're working in this kind of industry, it's very hard work, labor intensive, but it's not just picking up trash on the ground. It's, hey, we're going to take these items, we're going to bring them back, and we're going to separate it from, recycling, donation, resale, and trash. And the goal is to keep moving, right? Always keep moving, keep your mind going. And I find a lot of guys that come in here, a lot of veterans, they always tell me, man, when I'm here, like, I just don't think about the BS I think about at home. I'm like, yeah, because when you're here and you zone out, one of the other guys are going to slap you in the back of the head, or you're going to get hurt because you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
I
think that list that you just mentioned right now, recycling and resale, things like that, I think you need to add another one to maybe like collections, like that thing right behind you, that sword right behind you. Yeah, show us that. And did you get that from a customer's house or a building, or?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I had to fight him for it, but obviously I won. No, I'm just kidding.
But that's awesome, man. Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. I know that I went on a retreat with Raider Project in 2016, I believe. And we went up to a ranch up in Colorado, and it was, man, probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I was able to learn, I came from just an infantry background. A lot of the other guys there were, Raiders and which is MARSOC and recon guys and scout snipers. And like, they were telling, like, I would hear some of their stories, and I was like, man, like, it was just surreal. The things that they mentioned they did were the things that you like almost saw in movies. I know it's always, movies are always Hollywooded up. No one like jumps in, does these crazy things, like shoots guys from the air while they're parachuting in, and then like land through a glass rooftop. No one does, right? But at the same time, like the things that they were telling me about, I was like, I have so much more respect for these guys and what they were doing. But at the same time, what I'm trying to do now is shift the conversation just a little bit. But it was things like that I stopped comparing myself to others. And I think that this ties into what we were talking about earlier when we hit the isolation factor, because when you hit that isolation factor, you might have things like, man, I wish I would have done this, or because that boredom hits. And not only are you bored, but you're isolated, and your unit, the guys that you served with in your unit, they might be deploying again. They might be doing another workup, or they might be going to schools, or they might be doing lap moves to different MOSs. And then, but yet, you're out of the mix right now. You decided to get out of the military because your contract ended, or maybe you decided to resign your commission. But I totally understand, because when I got out, like, I looked at these basically tier 1 guys, Raiders and recon and all these guys, and I think some other Rangers that I bumped into along the way because of GallantFew. I realized that the things that what I went through, it was very similar to what they went through. Guys were just getting, and I say guys, I don't mean just males particularly, but just veterans in that capacity. Veterans they get bored, they get isolated, and they would neglect their spouses and whatnot. And which I know some of the viewers, you might know what happened to me. Again, not to sound conceited or anything. There's plenty of me on GallantFew stuff on the GallantFew social media, but Sarah, she basically said it. She hit the nail right on the head. She said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." So I definitely think that's a very true statement. Because I mean, like, and especially not only are you going to compare yourself to others, like, man, like, I wish I was one of those force guys or scout snipers or a ranger, or maybe went the SF route or something like that. Not only are you comparing yourself to those people and those assets and whatnot in the military, but yet you're also comparing what you did to what you didn't do. And a lot of times that can be one of the biggest killers, and then you have that combined with the isolation factor, you're getting at such a more negative mindset.
And it's natural, because like for us, second ID up in Fort Lewis, we were considered a rapid deploying unit, right? Something about within 48 hours, we were able to get out of there and go, F stuff up. But we worked a lot with Ranger Regiment. We worked a lot with SEAL teams over in Afghanistan. And, the biggest difference between those two is the mentality.
Yeah.
Because you look at these spec ops, and you don't have to say anything twice. You don't have to reiterate anything. It's there. It's ingrained. They know exactly what they're doing. Hey, there's the objective. This is how we're going to get to it. Let's go. And then what's funny is getting out, I start meeting people like I know like PK, for instance, very involved with GallantFew, and shoot, he was a Ranger guy. And then next time I meet these other Ranger guys, and then I met this other second bat dude that, heck, I was about a year behind him up in Fort Lewis, and we started talking, right? Never met him before. We weren't even in at the same time. He had actually got out right as I was getting in. But every single thing we talked about was so freaking relatable because we lived through the same time frame for the most part, hung out the same places and knew some of the same guys and worked with the same guys. And you start thinking, man, well, what about when I go home? What then? Because I'm in Texas and I was in Washington. I was stationed up in Washington, right? Well, when everybody gets out of the military, most of the time they go back towards the house, back towards home, wherever that is. So then these guys you talk to every single day, you don't talk to anymore. And it's because life's happening. It has nothing to do with you and him or her. But when you actually do get reconnected, like right now, there's a buddy of mine, he lives in Wichita Falls, and I barely talk to him, don't see him much. But when I do, it's like we never even skipped a beat, right? And then there's a few of them around here. But I went to New York when I was starting J-Dog because I was going to go to Pennsylvania for the mixer and the setting up of the business. And I stopped in New York because I've never been there. I was only there for 2 nights. And I remember calling 3 people that I knew that lived in New York. And now I don't know how big New York is. It's right. It's like when someone's in Texas, they're like, hey, I'm in Texas, man. Let's hang out. Awesome. Where you at? I'm in Houston. Where are you? I'm like, oh, well, I'm in Dallas, dude. Like,
I'm in Amarillo.
Yeah, exactly. So I call them up. Fortunately, 2 of them were right in the neighborhood. And what's crazy is those 2 never knew each other. They were in different times but both in what I was in, right? Because I was in for 6. One guy was in for 4. The other guy was in for 2 or 3. But it's cool. We all sat down and started talking and hanging out. And I was like, man, I miss these guys so much, right? But like I said, it was after the road I took that led me to realize, hey, you know what? I need my brothers again. And they don't have to be the same brothers, right? Or sisters. They don't have to be. They can be any of them. So, when I met you, I think we were doing like a hoarder house, honestly. If I recall.
There was
your first job was a really nasty job.
It was like an attic or something, I think. And it was like we had just that small, like a little legitimate small like window in the attic to get get all the stuff out of it. Yeah. Dust and mold and stuff. I was like, God, like kudos to these guys. Like my respect went up for all your employees and whatnot. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a big step for me because my biggest disservice to other veterans in the beginning was avoiding other veterans.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a part of a gun club. I don't care about guns and, oh, look at this FR 1730 Phantom. I don't know what the hell that is, man, but cool. It wasn't me. So I disassociated with them. I didn't want to go to the VFW. I didn't want to hear war stories from Vietnam and so on because I just didn't want to hear it. I wanted to do my own thing. I was starting over. But that was where I went wrong because I was isolating myself and I didn't even know it. Even after the fact that I told myself I was going to start over and change. So when I started getting into these groups more, I started talking to more veterans and not necessarily hearing every single one of their stories, but just letting them be around me.
Yeah.
And I understood, okay, you know what? Man, this is great. I mean, I can lean on so-and-so over here. So, hey, she has this over here she needs help with. I need help with this. She can help. I mean, it's a family. So it also helped me stay positive through all the BS we've been going through in the past couple months, right? I mean, you got small businesses closing down left and right because the government's telling them to, where that's out of your control. So what happens when times are bad and it's out of your control? You're prepared for bad times that are controlled by you. Like, hey, we're going to be slow in the wintertime. Like, we understand that. So what can we do now to prepare for that? But no one's telling you, hey, be prepared for a pandemic. Like, right. That's just unheard of. So the only way you can stay positive is by reaching out to every single one of these people that you have disassociated from just a little bit. Just saying, hey, how you doing? What do you need? How can I help? Can I help you? and using these groups like GallantFew. Veteran Circles is another group that's I'm very proud to be a part of. You know,
You
right
said,
now,
you said something that I really, really appreciate and I liked about your guys up in New York.
Mhm.
And so it's funny that and I think it was that part of the conversation that you said it, but like it was maybe like your aha moment kind of thing. Like I need my brothers to get back together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily maybe just the people that you served with, but it was other veterans and whatnot.
Mhm.
And my platoon, we're thankfully because of technology and certain apps like GroupMe and whatnot, we're
Mhm.
able to keep in touch pretty often. And it's cool because just like you mentioned, it's like nothing has ever changed. It's just like, yeah, I haven't talked to you maybe in a little while, but like everyone's sending pictures of their kids together, their careers now, and what we're doing. Some of my guys are still in, not many of us, but only a handful are. But one thing that just happened, Memorial Day, Monday, so just 2 days ago. Typically, it can be a heavy day. Something that my commanding officer, my CO, said in my company when we had a memorial ceremony when we got back from Afghanistan. It started. It was really dark and gray, kind of cold, and it was a little heavier rain than mist, and so it was just kind of just crappy weather.
Yeah.
And then we had our battlefield crosses lined up on the parade deck. And then he started off his speech by saying a somber weather for somber occasion. And I think that's kind of resonated with us over the years. But anyways, it can be a pretty dark time, right? It can be, but at the same time, Carl Munger is the founder and executive director of GallantFew. He was on the leaders chat last week with Boone Cutler. Something that he taught me a long time ago, and I think about it as much as I can today, is you have the ability to choose your response to the situation, right?
Yeah.
And that's Dr. Stephen Covey related statement. And so Monday, a lot of times I used to basically just bail, just hit the bottle. I would tune everything off. I would just like pretend I wasn't a veteran because I would go on social media, and then all of a sudden everybody and their mothers was saying, thank you for your service, all this stuff. And what maybe a lot of veterans, maybe there are veterans out there struggling with right now is I don't want to see that. I don't want to see all the battlefield crosses. I know what happened. I was there when it happened. I don't need to relive it. And so that can be a common mentality across the board. But at the same time, one of my guys who is still in active duty, he actually, I love this guy. His name is Harper, but he out of nowhere he's like, hey, I'm gonna call you. I'm like, okay, awesome, man. And I was doing well. I wasn't. It was, I might have, had my little moment earlier in the day, but at the same time, that was about it. I didn't go off in a drinking binge or anything like that. But he called me, and when he called me, he was like, "Can you do a video chat?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my Wi-Fi, so yeah." And then when the cameras turned on, he was basically in a very sacred spot where we were at, or where we served together. He was on top of what we call First Sergeant's Hill.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so we have all of these crosses. It was typically for our regiment of Marines that were killed, of the Marines and Docs that were killed during the GWAT era. Then all of a sudden, he showed me this, like all these like angles of all of these crosses, and what it signified to me was there was also now combat engineers, and there was attachments from all over from the Marine Corps that were assigned to our unit. Some other 1st, 2nd, or 3rd Battalion of 5th Marine Regiment, who has been killed. Everybody got a cross that was put on. That most people got a cross. Excuse me, not everybody. Most people got a cross put on this hill, and that was, I saw him there. I saw a bunch of other Marines there. I saw Marines with their families up there doing this hike, and it's not. Yeah. When he showed me this, it brought back a lot of memories. It brought back, man, like I remember like my old team leader and squad leader telling me, hey, you better go get your stick up there. And it's, like a mile out from the barracks, and then it's like half a mile up. And then
hurry up.
You get back like an hour later, and they're like, wrong stick. And I'm like, man, okay. So
5 minutes.
Memories. But at the same time, he was very, it was very inspiring for him to show me First Sergeant's Hill again, because instead of hurting and crying and binge drinking, maybe doing drugs to just to cope, he chose not to do that. He chose to go pay honor and respect to the fallen Marines. Especially, we have some of you may have noticed before, but my unit, we lost 17 Marines in one deployment. So he went up there to pay his respects and to honor them. And he climbed that hill, which it's not an easy task.
Yeah.
There is a side of the hill that's easier to climb rather than straight up, and that easy side to climb is called the ankle breaker. So it's not the most inviting name. Like, hey, let's go up the ankle breaker up to first on sale. It's like, great, there go my ankles again. But so that was something that I experienced on Memorial Day was to have one of my Marines show me all those crosses and whatnot on top of first on sale. But he put himself and his son, who's like 4 years old, poor kid, he went up this massive hill. And just to pay respects. And I thought that was a fantastic way to honor Memorial Day, not just our Marines, our Memorial Day. So, and that, anyways, that just reminded me of what, of your connection with your guys up in New York when you had wanted them to get together and stuff. And so, I mean,
it's a big deal, I'll be honest with you, this past Memorial Day, I didn't do anything. I just didn't. I didn't want to do anything. A lot of it was due to the fact I've been working like crazy lately, but for the most part, it was a very rare day I could be with my family at home. We could do whatever we wanted, right? And my son, I remember ever since he's been born, I've had a flag in my yard. And so he sees American flags all the time. He's always excited about it. He's always like, flag, flag. And I try to teach him the salute, and he always just puts his hand on his head, doesn't really understand it yet. But, we didn't go anywhere. I didn't post anything on Facebook. I just took the day, man, because one thing I've realized is that, man, it's so easy to join the military, right? And it's easy to get out of the military, but it's so not easy to live after you're done with the military. I personally believe it's harder to live in the real world successfully than it is to deploy, because at least you have a mission at hand, you have a support team, everybody has a job and they do their job. But here, there's no rules, man. Here it's don't F up, because if you do, you're not going to die. No, you're just going to be broke. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get this ticket. You're going to get that ticket. These people are going to lose their jobs. There's so many consequences in the real world that you don't think about. So you get out and you're like, holy crap, what do I do now? How do I survive? Even though you just went to war, you're like, holy cow, I got through that. I can get through this, right? But how many suicides happen when you're in war compared to happen outside the military, man? And it's because it's not knowing how to deal with the real world, right? It's a huge issue. So when there is a memorial, we just had a guy not too long ago. He killed himself, and he was in the military. There's reasons that are up for debate, but the biggest part is he killed himself, and it was a very big shocker. This guy was hilarious. He's the guy who made the comments when he shouldn't have made them, and made everybody laugh when they should have been laughing. He had a dark sense of humor, but it made everybody laugh. This guy was great. His name was Tanny, and he took his life, and no one understood why. And he was still in, but it goes to show you that everybody can get lost. It's so easy to get lost, and it happens a whole lot more once you're out of the military, because you don't have that guidance, the structure. I definitely believe it's harder to live outside the military than it is in, because you don't have a family, or at least you don't think you do. You feel like you don't have that family around you. And when you fail in the military, you have success forced upon you, right? I mean, it's true. Like, hey, you did something wrong. You're going to pay for it, and then we're going to make you do it the right way 17,000 times. But in the real world, it's like, oh, you failed? Okay, well, I can either A, not ever try again, or B, try again. Oh, I failed again. Well, I guess I'm not going to do that anymore. Or C, keep trying until you succeed. But then next thing you know it, that military is coming back. You're like, you know what? If I keep digging and keep digging, I'm going to do it. So that's the biggest thing on Memorial Day for me. It was more like just taking a day, man.
Yeah. And especially with your line of work, I guess I worked with you for a little while, and I totally understand. So I think you deserve much more time than you and your guys. Your whole team deserves more than 1 day off.
But it was the first time, like, you know, it was like you said. For me, it was the first time on Memorial Day I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm doing something. I'm either meeting, talking to guys, and posting something. But like you said, some guys, hey, I don't want to see it. I've seen it many times. You know, that picture of my battalion, you know, all dress at the memorial. Like, hey, I've seen it a dozen times. I don't want to do it anymore. But, you know, a buddy of mine, I felt very envious because he was up in Fort Lewis. They went to our memorial up there. And I was like, man, that'd be so cool to be there. I need to get up there and go visit it, right? And it took Memorial Day for me to even think, I don't have to go on Memorial Day. I can go whenever. I got to do it. I got to go do it, you know?
Yeah.
I have to at least go back and say my respects and just be in the moment one more time. Because, you know, for us, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
We're afraid of being forgotten about.
Consume you don't have to succumb to, oh, woe is me. Now I need to go buy this, you know, this fifth of Jack and then make sure that I kill it in an hour and a half. Make sure I have 2 more in my freezer ready to go. You don't need to let it succumb to it.
I didn't even drink a beer on Memorial Day. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, now that you think about it, I don't think I did either. I think I had one day before. That's about it. So, but what? So also for the viewers out there, like again, we're not done talking about it. I just want to reintroduce ourselves in case anybody came in late. I'm Zach Sabalos. I served in the U.S. Marine Corps, deployed to Afghanistan in 2011 with 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. Casey, introduce yourself again real fast.
I'm Casey Lawrence. I was in the U.S. Army Infantry, 2nd ID, stationed at Fort Lewis. I am owner, operator of JDOC Junk Removal and also a new company called VetWorks Solutions. Coming soon. We'll touch base on that later in the future. It's exciting stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But for any veteran out there, or maybe you know a veteran, you're married to a veteran, or you just want to help the veteran community, these chats that we do, these leader chats, are a phenomenal resource to be watching because, for example, in this chat alone, you have 2 GWOT veterans, you have a Marine, you have a soldier. Yeah, I think we butt heads every once in a while. We talk smack, but that's expected, right? That's not only expected, but it's hoped for almost, because that shows that camaraderie that we still have with each other, that level of competition between us. But at the same time, you're seeing what a veteran can be when they leave the military. You have Casey here, who is not only a business owner for one company, but he's turning it into making a second one happen as well. Mm-hmm. And he's not only just having employees under his belt, but he's having veterans be employees, and he's teaching them, and he's helping them grow, helping them flourish in their life, and he's helping basically reestablish their purpose. Myself, I don't think this is conceited to say, but I am a product of GallantFew. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I struggled a lot. You can go to GallantFew's Facebook page and watch the Father's Day video they did last year, and I'll just leave it at that. But at the same time, GallantFew has the biggest and best thing I tell people is GallantFew has helped me give me my purpose back. And my purpose is to serve. I serve the country, I serve the Corps, and now my objective in life is to serve my fellow veterans. And so whenever there's veterans in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we're able to connect them with, and they need a line of work, we're able to connect them with veterans like Casey right here. But at the same time, Casey mentioned a group that we do called the Veteran Circles, and there's a Dallas-Fort Worth network chapter. And the objective there is to bring all veteran entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate agents. We have a plethora of people, right?
Yeah, you don't even have to have a title. If let's say you don't know. Let's say you're like, hey, look, I just got out. I'm not sure what I want to do. I would like to entertain the idea of being my own boss, or I'd like to work for a great veteran-owned company. You're still welcome, because we're not going to push you in either direction. We're going to figure out and help you figure out what you want to do and say, look, if you want to be an entrepreneur, the cool thing is we got hundreds of them right here with free advice, and they'll help you get started.
But that's great. Exactly what I want to talk about with that is, and we're coming up about 40 minutes, so we'll end in just a couple of minutes. I know people might think we're just dragging our feet just to fill time, but we're not. But what Casey said exactly is, in a different way, was we're here to help each other. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it before earlier in this conversation. In the military, you didn't do anything alone. The only thing you did alone was maybe use the bathroom, the latrine, the head, whatever branch. That was the only thing you did. Even when you were eating, if you're in the field, you were eating an MRE or UGR, or maybe you had a pop-up mess tent, or if you're stateside, you're at the chow hall, mess hall, dining facility, whatever, DFAC, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, you were never alone. So that's what this organization, GallantFew, and entities across the nation, like veteran circles, are here for. But the same thing, it's people like, not to sound conceited for like the fourth time I'm saying that, but people like Casey, people like myself, people like Carl Munger, Bryce Mahoney, again, happy birthday. But it's people like these guys, Tony Main, Nick Kamalotzos. It's people like those that have inspired me. But it's also shown the general public that veterans cannot not just thrive on life, but they can become leaders of the community throughout the entire country. They can be business owners, they can be politicians, they can be successful people, and they have the ability to lead, and to not only lead, but to help others and make sure that others are following their purpose and being very, very self-sufficient and thriving on life. We did have a message here from Ginger King Dover. She said, USMC veteran here, reinventing herself. That's awesome. Great to hear that. Cheers to you guys for you serving your fellow veterans. Ginger, thanks for the comment. Really appreciate that. GallantFew is always here to help veterans. If anyone needs to reach out to us, you can message us on the GallantFew Facebook page. You can go to our GallantFew.org website and reach out to us there. If you're a veteran in the DFW network and you're looking for some work, J-Dog junk removal, right, Casey?
Yeah, let me know. And to add to Ginger's comment, I love that she said reinventing herself, because I feel like I do the same thing, but also I want to add something, add unlimiting yourself, because that's one thing huge for military vets is we tend to limit ourselves to a few different options, right? Not just what's good and bad for us, but successful options. Hey, you know what? I can only do this because I'm only here, because maybe I don't want to learn more. So unlimit yourself, have that mindset, keep learning. And that's, heck, man, if anybody needs anything at all, reach out to me through veteran circles, through my personal Facebook, whatever. And if I can't personally help you, I will find someone who can. I'll make sure that they do.
Definitely. Again, it's people like Casey who have personally inspired myself. I don't know how. I don't know exactly when, so sometime late 2018, but for some reason I really, really got invested into leather. And so now I am potentially starting a small company. It'll take some time to get there. But the great thing is I have the connections, I have the network, I have the friends and the fellow veterans to help guide me to become a successful small business owner. And like I said, I make things like little leather things. I'm not sure if y'all can see this, but yeah, so things like this, belts and whatnot. But I wouldn't have had that inspiration if it wasn't for fellow veterans out there like Casey and like our friend Brandon and any others who are taking very small things in life and making it grow and making a company out of it, making lives change. So, Casey, I thank you for that, man, for that inspiration, because it's definitely helped me out a lot. But I
appreciate it.
All right, Casey, I think we're about it, man. We're about 43 minutes in. So any parting words?
Everybody stay safe and keep looking to the future. And just one bit of advice, don't ever leave veterans staying dormant, right? If a vet is not in a bad position or he's not in a good position, if he's not showing any kind of successful signs, talk to him. Talk to that woman or that man. Don't ever just let them lay dormant, because that's when they'll explode on you when you least expect it.
Definitely.
Complacency kills. There you go. Sums it all up.
Complacency kills. Speaking of killing, don't hurt yourself with that sword back there.
I got a helmet. I'm good.
We're gonna need more. We're gonna need more.
Yeah.
All right, Casey. It was great talking to you, brother. We'll see you at
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care. Talk to you soon.
See ya.